Hey, what's up, y'all? Hope everyone is doing well today. I wanted to show some knives from my collection that will and kind of show some of the different varieties of traditional American knives. And there's quite a few, and this isn't an extensive list, but I just wanted to go over some of the traditional patterns and um, the differences between them, some of the design features and materials, and most of these are going to be pretty old knives, like the first knife, the jackknife. So the jackknife, what distinguishes a jackknife is that a jackknife has a pivot on one end and one or two blades that go on it. So it's just kind of your standard knife here. And this is a challenge cutlery. Look at that beautiful blade. This is not been used too much, and it is looking good. It's got that mirror polish, still going strong 100 years later, and give or take, I forget the exact dates here, but look at that tang stamp. Challenge Cutlery Corp. So, very cool knife here. Not very common to see. And all these knives are going to be made with carbon steel blades. So you can see even the well-preserved ones have some patina, some light pitting, and some with, most of these are going to be pretty clean, but some of them you see and they're in pretty rough shape. So another variation of a jackknife. So here, well, we got the, this is Great Eastern Cutlery. So this is actually a new knife. It's built in the old way, and this is a swayback jack. So where this is going to be called a swell end jack because it's fatter on this side, it's skinnier on this side that the blades come out of. And that's one of the things that you're going to see differentiate some of the knives. I'll do a video on all the different kind of jackknife patterns, at least the ones that I have in my collection. I do love a jackknife. I typically like to carry a single blade jack, and this is one of the ones that I carry from time to time. Although this one, I keep this one clean. I don't really use it on food, so I'm not really trying to get a patina on it. I'm not trying to baby it either, but this is more of a not a food knife, not a dirty knife. It's shiny and nice, and I love it. Now the reason, the intended use for this kind of knife is for draw cut. So where a knife with a straight handle, you can, and this one you can still do a push cut with it, but this handle is comfortable for doing a pull cut, a draw cut, and yeah, this is just a great example. Now, and to go on to materials too. So as I said, they're going to be carbon blades. Even these Great Eastern Cutleries are almost all carbon. And then you've got brass hardware, brass liners. And that's going to be typical, but sometimes you see it with stainless or nickel. And you've got, the nickel silver for the bolsters, which sometimes it's stainless, most of the time it's nickel. And these bolsters are lined. Now this one here, you can see on the bolsters, this is, it's got that flute, or they call it sometimes a rat tail bolster. You can see there how deep that cut is and how much material it has removed there. It's kind of nice, it's kind of satisfying. This one's also got that rat tail bolster. And this is going to be the similar kind of swayback shape, where it's skinny at this end, fatter at this end, but it curves this way. And this is called a hawksbill, or sometimes a farmer's knife. And this is a Remington. And here we have the jig bone handles. Jig bone is sometimes, and in this case, it's indeed true, very beautiful, feels good to touch. It grips in your hand nicely, and it's shiny, but rugged and rustic, and it's got that great texture. One of the things I love about traditional knives is the materials they use, like the antler, the wood, the jig bone. They're really cool. Now this is a Remington, and you can see here on the blade, if you get it just right, you can see an etch. There it is. And these knives typically had etches on them, on the blades. Not always, and not on all the blades, but usually there would be some sort of a trademark or the name of the model or some kind of decorative etch, but usually it would be the name of the company. And this, you see Remington there. This is a Remington. Now these knives were used, like I said, these were good for draw cuts. So the two intended uses I have heard for this type of hawksbill knife is for gardening, farming, cutting rope and twine and bales, and then actually even cutting plants. I'm not exactly sure how. I'm not a farmer, but maybe like taking branches off or anyway. So very cool blade. The other use is for cutting carpets. So this would be used for like the person that would put carpets in would have to cut the roll of carpet down to fit where it was going, and this is the kind of tool they would use. And these ones came in all sorts of different handles. This one's a little bit older, I believe pre-World War I. So now kind of getting away from the jackknife, where these all have the pivot on one end, you kind of get into the other kind of knife here, which is a pen knife. And a pen knife has pivots on both ends and one spring. So this spring right here, both these blades are riding on them, and they each have their own pivot at one end. And this is a Northfield, and this has mother of pearl handles, which are just very satisfying to catch the light with and see how it kind of shimmers and has a kind of glowing effect. Yeah, the mother of pearl is really nice, and I'm trying to show you so you can see. And they're all a little different. Some are really fiery. This one's got some nice character and kind of glows nicely. Not super fiery, but I'll show you a fiery one soon. Now this is a Northfield, and Great Eastern Cutlery, one of the coolest companies around. My favorite American knife company, or at least up there. Great Eastern Cutlery now owns this Northfield brand, and but back then this was its own company, and this is not made by Great Eastern. This is an oldie, and that's a beauty too. So, like I said, you got the one spring, two pivots on one on each end, and you can see how both those blades ride on the spring, and you have knives on each end. Now, the sort of story or intended use for this kind of knife is going to be to make pens, and back in the day they used the quill of a bird to make pens, and like a feather of a bird, they would use this type of a knife to cut their pen. Now, so where this is an equal end, because you see the pattern has pretty much just a mirror of itself, and so nice. I could look at that all day. Now the other another kind of pen knife that you have here, and I guess you'd call this a pen knife. This you would call a sleeve board knife, but it's the same kind of deal where you got the pivots on both ends with one spring. This one has pretty big spring because you got this nice big blade here. Now this is kind of a pen knife variation, but this is more of seems like more of an everyday kind of knife. And how cool is that? This is a Chapley Diamond Edge. Sometimes when you see the Diamond Shield, it's from Chapley because Diamond Edge was their brand, and sometimes that's even going to be a stamped shield that has their name on it. Now this is cool. You got the jig bone. It's nice and smooth. to the touch, but also grippy. And so same thing, one spring, two blades, and two pretty cool blades. So this one's definitely seen a lot of use and some pretty aggressive sharpening, but this is the kind of knife that serves somebody well and has lots of stories. So now this shape of a knife is called a sleeve board because the large knife, like the master blade as it is called, or the main blade as some people like to call it, is pivoting off the fat end, and the little blade here is pivoting on the small end. So that's what you would call a sleeve board knife. Now you can also, you don't really see too many of the old ones. I've actually, I don't know if I've ever seen an old one, a sleeve board jack, where it would be the same kind of single pivot knife with just one blade, or it could have a secondary blade as well off on the both pivoting off the fat end and nothing pivoting off that end. So you can, there is a sleeve board jack, but I don't know if I've seen old ones. I've seen modern ones and modern interpretations. Now, here's another equal end. And this one is, it's kind of like a pen knife. This is a Congress knife. I don't really have too many of those. And I couldn't find any for this video. So, of the oldies. So I brought another Great Eastern. Now this one is their 53 pattern, and I think they called this one the Cuban Castro. It's got a really cool set of blades on here. You have a Wharncliffe and a sheep's foot, and then another Wharncliffe and another sheep's foot. So it's just super pointy, sharp, kind of pokey kind of blades. Pretty cool. And definitely a unique set of blades. I don't know if this is based off an actual old knife, or if they just kind of used some of the old design features and kind of made a new knife that, I mean, this is a great knife. I carry this one sometimes, and this is a lot of very handy blade shape. So it's a kind of knife you could put in your pocket and have everything sharp, and you only have to sharpen it once in a blue moon, because it would take a while to get all those blades dull. So, you know, it's dependent on what you like to do when you carry a knife. Some people like that kind of a, you know, just using something older so that, and doing something in kind of an older way, an older fashion. Like these days, you don't need traditional knives. You can get very, how can I put this? You get more function, more utility, better quality materials, and something that you're never going to have to sharpen, never going to have to maintain. I mean, you'll still have to sharpen it, but the edge is going to last way longer than carbon steel. The steel is, it gets dulled pretty easily. So this is the kind of knife where you want to carry one of these in this day and age. Like, and I do, but I usually carry a modern knife. I love to carry a fixed blade, but it's just the legal aspect of it is, it makes it not so easy to actually be able to carry the fixed blades. So, but I do enjoy using a knife like this. Now, my use is not really the same as what somebody 100 years ago would have been using it for, and I usually also carry a modern knife, but I like these, and I just want to have a jackknife in my pocket. So it does have that nostalgia. In any case, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to try to get through the rest of these patterns right here and show you the Whittler, the split back Whittler. Well, actually, yeah, this is not a split back Whittler, but this is a two-spring Whittler, and a really cool knife, and this mother of pearl has some nice fire to it. This is a beauty, a treasure. You can see it in the video. It's even nicer in hand, and it just shimmers and glows, and it's both sides have plenty of character. And now, okay, so this is not a split back, and split back Whittler is just a different kind of construction. Now this has pivots on both ends, and it's a sleeve board shape because the big blade is pivoting on the fat end. And now you got the big blade riding on both these springs back here, and both the secondary blades riding on each on one of those two springs. So split back's a slightly more complicated construction than this, and I'll make a video showing some of those in the future. But this one is, oh man, this might be my favorite knife in my collection. This is a Cataragus, and they had a reputation for making great stuff, and this is just about new from what I can tell. It's super clean. I mean, it's definitely old, and it's seen some stuff, but probably mostly just the inside of a box, and it's just super tight. Sorry, you didn't really get to see that, but it's just so well built to such a high standard for something that was built the old way. I usually don't snap these knives. I'm pretty gentle with them because these are antiques, but you can see, look how all that fits in there so nicely. You know, it's not perfect, but it's, for something handmade, it is very impressive. And yeah, hope this one lasts forever. All right, so you got your sleeve board whittler there, 2-spring whittler. So you can sort of see how all of them are kind of similar to each other, or have similar features to each other, but the key differences are kind of what separate them. So just moving on to a multi-tool, and this is so cool. This is a keen cutter. It's this one's seen better days, but it's still going, and it's pretty neat. It's a multi-tool knife. So this one also has pivots on each end, with each having their own blade on that pivot. But this one has, and this one, the way it closes it, the blades kind of try to get into each other's slots. It's, this one's definitely quite a bit more used. Sorry, I got out of frame there. But now what's cool here is you have this nail file and like a finger grooming tool, or just could be any kind of scraper or file really. But this is so this is a multi-tool. This has a whole different spring on, or I don't know if it uses the same spring. I'm not exactly sure how this works. Well, it looks like it uses the same spring, which is very interesting. Interesting construction and idea here. Now this one is not a typical kind of pattern. So interesting to see, and that's a keen cutter. Keen cutter's got a cool stamp. Let me see if I could show you. This one's, yeah, it's mostly, yeah, you can't really see it. It's a little bit gone, but there we go. Okay, got it back. All right, and so now going back to another kind of multi-tool. This is a Scout knife, and this one's made by Utica. A lot of these companies are in New York. Utica is also in New York. Utica is actually the name of the city that they're made in. So, Scout knife, also a multi-tool, also has pivots on both ends. This one's got 2 springs. You can see this one's seen some use. You got your tools here. Now this one doesn't have any tools coming off the back end. That's this one right here. That keen cutter is a novelty of sorts. So this is a bottle opener, although, a can opener. Although this is a different kind of can opener than, I'm not exactly sure how to use that to safely open up a can. Then you got a bottle opener and flathead screwdriver. Scouts need this kind of stuff. Then you got your blade, nice long pole, and is there any edge left? Maybe, but I'm not going to be able to tell. And then finally got a punch. Now this is pretty typical setup for a Scout knife, the 4 tools, the can opener, bottle opener, blade, and punch. This one's also got a bail, and this would be designed to, you'd have a chain attached to that so you can yank it out of your pocket. So now all of these so far have been slip joint knives. Now, this one is the only locking knife I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to briefly mention this because I don't really collect the old locking knives. Or, I tell you what, I found a cool one for sure, I would get it, but you just don't see too many of them, and I'm not, really hunting. So this one's another Great Eastern Cutlery. This is their 65 pattern, and I use this to eat steak sometimes, and that's why it gets that cool patina. But, pretty light use overall, but this has actually been a nice companion. I love carrying this knife. It just feels like you're going to be able to do everything you need to do. It's got a nice long handle. It's a little slender, but the length kind of makes up for it, and you feel like you got something to hold on to when it's in your hand. And that blade shape's it's really nice, especially if you're eating food or preparing food. You're gonna be able to get in there, whatever you need to do. So cool little knife. And lockbacks, that's another kind of category of knife that I will probably make another video on, but these are a few that I wanted to show you. And now there is one pretty glaring omission here, and I just kind of forgot about it, but I didn't see one in my collection when I just browsed over it and grabbed some things for this video, and that would be like a cattle knife. And a cattle knife is going to be you're gonna have, it's kind of like a mix between a jackknife and a Scout knife, sort of. Anyway, we'll get into that later. Because there you're gonna have a spay blade, usually a spay blade, a punch, and a main blade, and sometimes they have 4 tools. I forget what all it's got, but in any case, these are the knives for today. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. So I hope everyone out there is doing good, and be well, and hope that was an informative video for some of you.